The issue of controlling your emotions, the issue of I feel totally out of whack. I feel like my emotions own me and they just spill out and I can't keep them, I can't manage them. It's really tricky because what you want when you're in that situation is to press a button and just have your emotions kind of come under control. Okay, I know how I'm going to feel, I can shape how I'm going to feel, or at the very least, even if I'm feeling stuff inside, then I can control what I do about that, and I have myself in a nice, neat little box that I can control. And that's not true for many of us. And we could have a whole other conversation about people who are always rigidly in control, and that is actually not necessarily the goal here. But if you are someone who experiences just being out of control, I don't know how to do this, I guess I'd want to say two things, and I want to start with the counterintuitive one. My first thought is there's actually something deeply right about being out of control of your emotions. We were actually not made to control our emotions, at least not in a sense. We were made to be affected by the world around us. We were made to be distraught by what makes God distraught. We're supposed to be horrified by sin and deeply distressed by suffering. Like Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus. He's not shedding a tiny little tear as he looks at the stone rolled across a grave and sees the impact on his beloved friends, Mary and Martha. He is weeping. It says he's troubled, deeply distressed in spirit, depending on your translation. That idea of being broken up in response to something bad is deeply right and biblical, and the most human of us all, Jesus Christ, displays that. So there's a right way, actually, to say, what you love shapes what you feel, and therefore, when you see something going wonderfully in your church, when you see betrayal and sadness and damage, you're meant to actually be affected by that, not in a way that you can just control. So the right piece of this is you are actually experiencing, this is how I was made to be vulnerable to the world around me, to love so much that I am actually, in one sense, at the mercy of creation and the things happening around me. Now, of course, there is a flip side, and the flip side is we are people who want to grow in self-control. The more we love the Lord, the more we'll actually be vulnerable to the hard things that happen in life, and the more we will be grieved by what is grievous. But there's also a way in which we want to be ever more focused on others and how we love and how we serve. And there's a way in which we can get taken over by our emotions, especially the more our emotions are directed inward and toward us and thinking about me and my world. That does have a tendency to pull us away from being able to love, to serve, to move toward, to walk alongside, to care about the impact on others. So I would say, where do we aspire to really grow in controlling our emotions? It's actually not so much about keeping our emotions tamped down. It's about being focused on another person so that we could love and serve. It's about being focused on what is going to bless and glorify the Lord. And in the midst of that, I think we have freedom to be undone in grief and to lament, often more so than we might feel comfortable with. The control comes in loving, serving, and having our hearts oriented outward. That's what's going to give us a healthy spillover of emotion into the conversation and a holding back, because we're able to say, you know what that person needs is for me to ask a question, not for me to fly off the handle or not me to turn into my own little self.